What was my first instrument? My first instrument was the piano. My mother took me to the Peabody School of Music in 1946. And I used to ride on the bus as a 6-year-old to downtown Baltimore, get off where the horse, the man on the horse the statue on the horse would be pointing to the right, and I'd know that's where Peabody was, and that's how I got there. And I studied piano for 2 years, but I was really I would slip into boogie-woogie on everything. And my teacher noticed it. She said, wow, he said, that's great. Mrs. Watson, God bless Mrs. Watson. She was a wonderful woman. But I finally conned my way out of music lessons by crying at the keyboard. I just didn't, I never do this. Classical music at 8 years old. I just didn't want to do the work. I just couldn't get myself to study it. I wanted to play jazz and play bebop and play guitar. And I heard Arthur Godfrey playing ukulele, the brilliantly anti-Semitic Arthur Godfrey. You can edit that out if you want, but please leave it in. They deserve it. And anyway, I heard Arthur Godfrey playing violin on the television with Remo Palmieri, and I just fell in love with the instrument. My father bought me one immediately. My brother took it and mastered it, and I became his accompanist. My first instrument was piano, then I switched to ukulele, then we started playing banjos and guitars and mandolins. And I played all those instruments to some degree. My brother was much better at them. Then at 13, I found the bass. I said, that's the instrument. It's simple, it's got 4 strings, I can play it right now, and I can play the fourths and fifths. I understand it. I understood it immediately. So I loved it and played it. And then I heard Ray Brown playing it, and I said, oh no, how difficult is this instrument going to be? But it didn't discourage me. I loved what Ray Brown did, and I just, at the age of 13 or 14, I was talking to Jeff Hamilton last night. He was saying, you really understand this music, don't you? I said, well, thank you. Yes, I do. I was listening to it before you were born, Jeff. And it was killing me before you were born. I said, at 13, Ray and Oscar and Herb just turned my life around. Sort of. I went to Berkeley for 3 semesters, went on the road with Buddy Morrow, which band at the time I thought was a poor second place to Woody Herman, but Chuck Andrus was with Woody Herman and wouldn't get off the band. So I went with Buddy Morrow, and now that I listen back to it, it was beautiful music. It was a good band, but I thought, well, it's not Woody Herman. I was just, I was groaning the moment. Well, I hope I wasn't groaning too much. Al Haig was on the band with me, so I figured that's not so bad. And that was, then I went on to Oscar Peterson School in Toronto, the Advanced School of Contemporary Music. The title alone was worth the tuition. Studied with Ray, got to know all the people up there, and really became, I worked very hard. And then I went to New York. I met Mike Longo up in Toronto, and he and I formed a trio and started playing in New York. Then I went on the road, and I wandered around. I left New York. I wasn't happy in New York. I was too young, 22 and alone in New York. So I went on the road with people, went back to Baltimore, worked down there, did a lot of stuff, and finally moved back seriously to New York in '68 at the age of 27, and have been blessed to have worked ever since. Absolutely, I never remember anything before that. I must admit, though, when I heard Les Paul's How High the Moon, I was struck at the beauty of that record, at the flying technique and the beautiful. I mean, now I listen to it today, and it's not so sophisticated at all, but it's rhythmically beautiful, and it's great fun. And it's really very, very musical, which Les always was. But that single really hit me. And then the Stratford Shakespearean Festival with Oscar Peterson, Ray Brown, and Herb Ellis just sent me to another place. Oh yeah. My brother and I used to play banjo. We were 8, 9 years old, and I would play in the Rivers Chambers Dance Orchestra in Baltimore. All black guys and 2 little white banjo players standing there looking like you know, and the guys were so sweet to us, and we'd play the dances all over town, and they'd pay us like $10 a night. This is 1949. And that was good. You know, we were thrilled. You know, $10 for playing the banjo. And my brother was very, very good. I was a really good soloist. I was a good accompanist. I mean, I played all the right chords. We never played the wrong chord. But then I started playing Dixieland playing banjo in a Dixieland band, and started making $50 a night in 1952 as a 12-year-old, and which is a lot of money. And then I heard the bass playing, and I said, "Oh, that's the one I want." I said, I don't see a lot of grown-up banjo players, but I see an awful lot of grown-up bass players. And that's the instrument I really want to play. The banjo was annoying me. I was a second stringer. I was playing, you know, rhythm and all that stuff. I wanted to play bass with it, even though it's very much an accompanying instrument. When I heard Ray Brown, I said, this is a magnificent instrument if you learn to play it correctly. And so at the age of 13, I started playing bass in the Dixieland Band, which was a very, very good band, the Pier 5 Jazz Band in Baltimore. And that was all she wrote for that. I just remained a bass player. Well, my appreciation of older jazz, seeing as how I grew up with that music, at the time it wasn't so wonderful to go back and play trad, because I was born in halfway into trad at 1940. I had grown in my appreciation of Louis Armstrong since I was a kid. I didn't really, when I grew up, Louis Armstrong was singing Hello Dolly and things like that, and I didn't realize what he had contributed. I didn't realize. I just said, you know, there's Louis Armstrong with the handkerchief on Ed Sullivan, and I said, yeah, that's nice. It's good. He's good. And then, as I got older, I really came to understand Louis Armstrong. And to this day, I mean, I'm getting a great appreciation for like Django Reinhardt, who I really liked, but he wasn't a modern jazzer when I was a kid. And now I go back and I hear what he did, wait a minute, that's brilliant stuff. And I mean, I guess, you know, I'm 71 now, and my appreciation for all the, quote, old music has grown enormously. You know, I mean, just the vintage Ellington and you know, and Count Basie and all those old orchestras. Jimmy Lunsford. I was sitting next to the trumpet player Joe Wilder a couple of years ago, and he turned to me and he said, "You know, I was with Lunsford," and I said, Well, it's like the heavens had just opened up, and I had been scooped up and taken into it. Somebody's going to tell me who was on Lunsford's band about what it was like being with Lunsford. And, you know, so my appreciation for these people and their music, fortunately, has grown and grown and grown.